Buonasera, buonasera a tutti. Good evening to everyone. We have to speak English, so very honored to chair a session which is about smart China. And with two very distinguished guests I will introduce in a while, which I'm sure will help us to understand not only China and tourism in China, but especially what is changing nowadays in Chinese tourism. My name is Nicola Bellini. I'm a professor here in Italy, in Pisa, and I have a very limited task of just setting the framework of this discussion. I think the title of the session is a little bit misleading. It says Smart China, which may suggest that China is becoming smart, and especially is becoming smart in our own way. Well, I think the challenge is exactly to understand that there is a Chinese way to be smart, which also includes a Chinese ecosystem in the digital world. And if we want to talk with China, both because we're interested in having tourists from China, and don't forget also to understand the technology that from China is coming to Europe, is coming to the Western world, we need to be aware of the specificities, of the potentials, of the differences, also of the important opportunities which are linked to digital developments that are taking place in China. So the two guests today, my introduction is over. The two guests today is Guillaume de Roquefeuille. This is a manager and entrepreneur, especially active, and he will introduce himself in the world of digital marketing. And Mr. Weijian Chu Roger for the French. And Roger is the general manager representative for Europe, Africa, and the Middle East of Ctrip. As you know, Ctrip is the most important online travel agency made in China. It's a leading company with a leading position, not only in China, and increasingly looking outside in the world through agreements, through a very interesting strategy of expanding its presence worldwide. So I will start with Roger, and I'll ask him to introduce himself to Ctrip, of course, and to which are the lessons that from Ctrip come to the cities, the destinations, and the companies here in Italy about dealing with China, dealing with Chinese tourists.
Thank you, Mr. Professor Bellini. Okay, so I'm very glad to be here. It's my first time actually in Florence, and also, of course, for the BTO. I just asked what BTO stands for. Actually, it's by Tourism Online, which is really, it's been like 12 years, and you told me, right? 12 years, it's the 12th session. So it surprised me, actually. It's been a long time that you have already focused in some online digitalized solutions in Italy. In China today, everything is about internet, or we can say about mobile. In the last session we discussed, I heard that the speakers discussed about being mobile, which is true. Let me just start with some basic overview of Ctrip. So Ctrip is the largest online travel agency in China, in Asia, and the second largest one in the world. We acquired Skyscanner. If you know that Skyscanner is the most important search engine in Europe. And we also have an overseas brand called Trip.com, which serves a lot of foreign clients as well. Today we have more than 300 million members, Ctrip members. And also, if I can give you a figure about mobile and the transaction volume is around 70%. 70% transaction volume actually come from our mobile end, not PC end. Okay? And our mobile application, the cumulative downloads already reached to 3 billion times. We just announced our financial statement last month. Our transaction volume in 2018 is around 725 billion RMB. So roughly it's around 100 billion euros in 2018. Okay, it's huge. And by 2020, we estimated that our transaction volume can be around 1.2 trillion RMB. So this is huge. The market for the European destinations, actually for you, it's quite big. But for us, it's just the beginning of the story. Another figures about Chinese outbound tourists, only 10% of Chinese people have passports. Only 7% of Chinese people have issued visa. It's nothing compared to our, 140 million people. Sorry, it's 1.4 billion. So this is nothing. It's just a story of the China's tourism market. It's C-Trip today, we have already targeted our young generations in China's market, which we think is very important. And these people, the young generations, is the future market who focus a lot and who depend a lot on the internet, on the mobile end. I can give you some ideas about how to approach these young generations. In China, if anyone has been to China, you will see the young generations, they look at their mobile all the time, in the subway, at home, on the bed, in the morning, so all the time, which we're not talking about it's good or not, but we really depend a lot on our mobile. Different applications has different functions. You don't even know that there are a lot of young generation, they buy the sporting shoes in a specific application. For some ladies, girls, they search for some plastic surgery information on some specific applications. And we have to figure out which applications today the young generations is using so that we can touch them, we can get influenced on these different applications. It's very difficult, actually. For the entertainment part, let's say 5 years ago, a lot of young generations start to share their online broadcasting applications. So they wake up, they open their mobile, they broadcast online to their friends, families, followers, whatever they do. They wash face, they broadcast, they go to shop, they broadcast. So it's like 5 years ago, it's the kind of lifestyle already for the young generations. They use a lot. But it changed very quickly in China's market. Nowadays, it's about short videos like TikTok. Those like Chinese version of, it's not like YouTube, but it's really short videos within 1 minute to show some interesting, some funny videos about what you are doing, and people that are willing to do that. So what we do, C-Trip, is collaborate. We study the young generations every year, every day to check which channels they are using, what kind of application they are using, what kind of mobile services they are using. And then we touch them directly through these different applications to target different clients. C-Trip nowadays, another figure about the target clients, we have more than 70% of our clients is from the age of 18 to 35 years old, which is very young, but which we think that's the market for the future. If we are discussing some tourism in China, it's quite sophisticated and it's complicated to target different people. For the senior citizens, for the senior tourists, they still use offline. For the second, third, or fourth tier cities citizens, they still go to some offline stores to check what's interesting destinations for their next holidays. But for the young generations in some major cities, in first tier cities, some big cities in second tier cities, they already give up all the offline stores. They go only online, on mobile. And this is very important in China to make sure that your services and products, they're exposed in online channels and be mobile. Another thing I want to discuss is about big data. Because everything is now going on internet, everything is going on application. In China, the good thing is we really track the consumer's behavior. We really check their booking behaviors. We know that Ctrip generates more than 50 terabytes big data per day, which is huge. Okay, you see each second there are transactions. We know who are going to Italy. We know who are going to Japan. According to their booking behavior, we offer different services to better serve our Chinese tourists. For example, so Guillaume maybe know about that. Maybe you will discuss maybe later about that. We call it WeChat Guide, or we call it Virtual Tourism Leader. Just a few minutes about these services, about how we use the big data. WeChat Guide. WeChat first, I'm not sure how many people use WeChat. This is a Chinese version of, like, let's say, Facebook or something, some WhatsApp. Because we know who will go to Italy or who will go to, let's say, Europe next week or next month because of his booking behavior, flight tickets or hotel rooms booking order. So we can invite these people to join the same WeChat group. A WeChat group is a chat group. You can chat with each other, okay? We invite them to join the same group. Within this WeChat group, there are all people who are going to a certain destination, the same destination, let's say Italy, during the same period, let's say next week. Maybe this WeChat group has 100 people, maybe 50 people. It depends on the period, depends on the destinations. But these are the people who travel individually, not group travelers. They don't have the tour guide to help them. They don't have any, how to say, physical people to help them, to lead them travel in the destinations. But we still need to help them, to give some recommendation to these individuals. So we invite them to join the same chat group, and we will put a specialist, a local specialist, who may be a tour guide in local destinations to help them to solve the questions, problems. We can recommend them before travel about visa application process, what kind of documents you need, about the weather situation, what kind of clothes you need to prepare. And during the travel, because we already sent these 100 people in the destination, we can recommend them, okay, the attraction tickets, we can directly push them, the coupon from the shopping malls, and the train tickets, for example, how you can book the train tickets from Florence to Rome, for example, we can easily push these kind of products and information to our individual travelers. And it's on time. It's real-time based. So they can ask all the questions. Even they have some problem. I lost my passport in the hotel. No worry. Continue your trip. We will contact the hotels to send your passport to your next hotel, etc. Something like that. It's a 24 hours SOS services as well. If there is a terrorist attack, if there is any, I don't know, strikes in France, in Paris, you cannot find any taxis, we will help you to serve you in a real-time base. So this is how we use the big data to track and to help these individual people who we think is the future target market, because they have more consumption power. They're willing to go some places other than Rome, Florence, Milano, those big cities. They want to explore more destinations in some small villages. They travel in some, unknown or unfamous places in China's market. That's what the young generations, they are interested in. And our job is how to educate them, to help them how to create these itineraries, how to educate them about how you can rent a car, how you can buy the train tickets, and how you can prepare your journeys. And if any problems, you can find us on the digitalized channels, and it's much more efficient for the young generations. So this is just one part of our WeChat guide service using big data. Today's Ctrip has like more than 200, even 300 different criteria to select the target clients. We know who always search for 4 stars, 5 stars hotels on our websites. We know who already been to United States, who has United States visa, so that we can push them again and again, the United States shopping malls, coupons, etc., vacation products. We know who have already been to Italy, so that we may push them again if they want to explore Italy again. We won't push them about Rome, Florence. We will push them some other different destinations to make sure the marketing campaign is getting more efficient. That is how we do the marketing part for the destinations and how we can collaborate with the destinations in the local government part, how we collaborate with them. Sometimes the destination, they don't know what's the interest part for the Chinese tourists. They imagine, okay, maybe this spa, this spring destination will be interesting for the Chinese tourists, but they don't have the data. It's all from their imagination. But from our data, our big data, we can definitely know from what age, what gender those people, they are interested in the spring, the summer tourism resources, or who are willing to go marriage, or who are willing to participate some marathon sports games, or who are willing to see some football games. So we do have these booking behaviors from our clients so that we can really precisely push these informations to our clients. This is how we do with all different destinations and attractions, and how we create products as well, because we collect all the clients' comments as well. If you check on our website, on our application, you will see the people will say, okay, this hotel, forget about it. They don't have slippers, okay? They don't have boilers for the hot water. Okay, so we will collect all these informations and we will reflect these problems to the hotels and to some attraction to say, okay, you need to improve. If you are still want to welcome the Chinese people, you have to make some modification, you have to do some improvements. So we also do a lot of Chinese-friendly program to the hotels and to the tourism industry in Europe and also other places in the world. These are all based on our data, based on the comments, based on the booking behaviors from our clients. Nothing is from imagination. Nothing can be decided without data. That's how Ctrip, I can say, the key successful points today we can expand so quickly. We even developed a new application in UK for the train tickets booking, which we did, I can say, much better than the local application companies, because we already tested our services and our products. Let's say 300 million people, members, already tested that. So we know how to serve better in a digitalized solutions, whatever it's in China or it's in overseas destinations. Yeah, I think my time is okay? Or?
Perfect. It's perfect. Thank you, Roger. It was a very provocative presentation, I think, for many of us, especially in Italy. We will have, I hope, enough time for questions and answers from the floor. But first, I would like to give the floor to Guillaume de Roquefeuille. He's the CEO and founder of Europass. So he has a direct, first-hand, and a long-time experience about digital marketing in China. And I think there are at least 2 points from Roger's presentation that are really a good starting point also for yours, perhaps. First of all, when he says it's just the beginning, we are just starting now. So the future development of Chinese tourists is still ahead of us. It's still something, a challenge that we have to face. And second, where this idea that, in fact, we are moving to, and we have entered a new generation of Chinese travelers. They are independent travelers. They are technology-oriented. They choose and work and react and interact on mobile tools, on their mobile tools, on Chinese mobile tools. And there, the expertise of Guillaume comes perfect for us, and I will leave the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. I've got some slides. I don't know if they will appear there. That's about, okay.
Here are the slides.
And we can see them, okay. So, very good speech from Roger, and I will elaborate. We started, and you spoke about big data. I'm going to speak a little bit more about the solutions. But the first thing is, and exactly as you said, there is a big, big opportunity, because when we speak about China, we see a very dynamic market of travelers. There is a big growth, and again, this is just the beginning if we understand that today less than 10% of the Chinese people are traveling abroad. So lots is in front of us. So very dynamic market, and it is a big fundamental. The other fundamental we are working on is that these people, the Chinese travelers, they live in their own digital ecosystem. They have, because I was in China and I didn't know anything about Facebook, YouTube, etc., because it's forbidden, and they have built their own champions. We can speak about Baidu, we can speak about, of course, Tencent, Alibaba, etc. But the result of that is very important. Is when they travel abroad, and we can take the case of Italy, if they land in Florence, they will have at least 2 apps on their phone, which is Ali and WeChat. And locally, if we want to address them, we can try to promote your organization on Facebook in Chinese, but maybe we will not be on the right channel. So what is very important is, before we address an audience, is really to understand and to know them, to know the behavior, because mobile is a kind of extension of the end in China, I want to say. They are very mobile, and they have their own solutions. So if you want to address this audience when they are traveling to Florence, for different categories, which can be shopping, hospitality, transportation, or touristic attraction, we need to adjust ourselves and to be on the right channels. This is about WeChat, but you know a lot, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. But we say that today the new language in China is not Chinese, it's QR code. People speak with QR codes, basically. That's a way to introduce ourselves. Before we were giving business cards, but now we just show the QR code. That's a way to communicate. If we take the behavior, you can see that's a picture in the subway in Shanghai. Almost everybody is looking at the phone. Okay, it's worse than here or in France and everything. And even on the 2 screens that we can see on the front of the picture, we can see these people are on WeChat. So it's not only somewhere you will once a day check something. It's you wake up with that. You will order food with that, you will book your Didi with WeChat, you will pay with WeChat. So there are some, but it's not the only one, but it's a kind of super app where people, they are living in this ecosystem. So basically what we are suggesting is, we are suggesting organization, can be a touristic attraction or shopping, or even, transportation, airports, subways, to deliver solutions in this ecosystem. Very important, people heard about WeChat before, and if we take 2 years ago, and we have created, I don't know, more than 150 WeChat accounts already in Europe. That was what people were expecting. But the behavior in China is changing very quick. And now the new usage of WeChat is more about what we call mini program. So it's app in app. And the people are reading less and less the news they see on WeChat because there are too many accounts. The WeChat accounts are too much about pushing information. And what people expect now, and again, it's related to the behavior in China, there are more and more solutions. We speak about smart Chinese solution. It's about services. I want something from this service. I want a benefit from that. I want to be able to pay. I want to be able to book. I want to be able, to reserve something. It's a service. It's not only to read that this place is open from 9 to 6. I want more than that. I want to know, how do I go there? How do I buy my ticket to go there? Can I shop there? Can I pay with the mobile payment, etc.? So many programs today are taking the lead. And clearly, again, if we speak about the different organizations in Florence, Italy, Europe, US, Emirates, which are targeting these Chinese people, you want conversion. You just don't want to tell these guys, I'm open from 9 to 6, but please come to my store, convert, pay here, buy something. I will build a kind of loyalty program. I want when you come back to China that I can still speak with you. And then when you are in China, I can still send product to you. You can buy from China to the store you visited in Florence last week. Okay, so it's really about services, real solutions, tools. Okay, these are about the mini programs. And just to give you some examples of what we've done, but just to give you, very different projects. Paris, first city in the world outside China. Chinese people go in the subway. They can take and they can buy in yuan with WeChat Pay their ticket to take the subway. It's about conversion. It's a practical service. If Roger goes to Paris tomorrow, but you were there last week, I guess, you can buy your ticket. You don't need to get cash. You get that with a QR code and you can just enjoy the transportation. I take Dubai. In 2 weeks, the Burj Khalifa will have its own mini program. You don't need to get your dirhams, local, etc. You get your tickets. It's digital. You buy with WeChat Pay. You get a QR code. You can just go to the attraction and enjoy the attraction. So there are different projects like this. Subway, it can be about hotel, booking an hotel. It can be about booking services, getting the room service, just flashing a QR code. And I will have pictures of what is in a room service. It will speak Chinese to me, etc. So really about services. This is a mini program that it's about Europe, basically, providing services in Europe. Mobile ticketing is available. I can book my tickets to Disneyland, or I can book my ticket to the Coliseum, etc. And again, it will be digital, instant, and people will pay with RMBs. On this kind of platform, today we have more than 1,000 sessions per day, and we know that there are individual travelers. We know that they are currently at the destination, okay, and they want services and they want to convert. It's quite important to know also that the growth, and I think you mentioned about the age of your audience, the growth of Chinese traveler is also generated by the individual travelers, not the groups. And that comes with a new challenge, because these guys, they don't have any guide. They have C-Trip as a guide and the VTL, as you mentioned, but they will be autonomous. And the only guide they will have will be the mobile. And they will rely on recommendation of other people, okay? And these are exactly a kind of solution that will be useful for them and will be for the organization a real conversion solution. So that was about this kind of solution that we could deliver. But the conclusion I would like to address here, and following the speech on the data, which is very important to anticipate in China before people travel, and C-Trip is a very good channel if you work for an organization in Florence. They have the information, and we can use this information to address this audience before they come, okay, to make sure that we address, a qualified audience. And at the end of the day, speaking to this audience and providing services in their own ecosystem is a pure game changer for conversion. So that was about this smart solution, speaking to this audience, not only in their own language, but in their own technology, I want to say in their own technology and in their own solutions. That was about this presentation.
Okay. So thank you, Guillaume. And clapping it for everyone. May I just invite questions from the floor? Ci sono domande da parte del pubblico. Potete ovviamente fare domande anche in italiano, c'è la possibilità di traduzione simultanea. Arriva il microfono, un attimo.
Hi, good evening. We'll ask you, do you think we will be able to receive the future tourism and the future Chinese tourism in Italy in the future 10 years? We'll be able to receive all these people?
No, can you repeat the question? It was difficult to
I
hear.
think I understood the question, and
Can you repeat the question?
About,
it's difficult
about
to hear from here.
No, I was talking with them.
Yes.
We'll be able to receive and to welcome all the clients, all the guests from the new generation of Chinese people. Do you think we will be able to do that?
Do you think here in Italy?
Yeah, of course, in Italy.
You mean,
If we are
you
able
mean
to?
today, right?
Yes.
Is Italy today able to welcome the Chinese tourists, right? If I'm right?
Yes.
In the future,
In the future.
yeah, you say that the new generation will come and will increase.
Okay, as I said, the young generations depend a lot on the digitalized solutions. And there are a lot of Chinese-friendly services which are missing today in Italy, as I perceive, of course. But of course, there are a lot of places they're doing very well, but they can do better. I can give you an example. For example, in Finland, if you go to Finland, in Helsinki, you go to the street, the main street, you can enter into different shops, and even Santa Claus, in Rovaniemi, Santa Claus office, you buy souvenirs, you can use Alipay. But if I enter into an Italian, like Florence, any shops, I'm not sure I can pay with my mobile. So these are some things still missing in Italy. And I think if you prepared to push forward, to move forward in the technology part, in the digitalized solutions for Chinese tourists, I think of course you will welcome more Chinese tourists. And you are actually welcoming more money, let's say, because these Alipay, WeChat Pay, that definitely can stimulate more consumption from the Chinese people. And I think this is something still missing in Italy. It's good side for traditional part, it's very traditional. But it's for historical monuments, attractions, traditional is good. But for services, for the products, for the tourists, the more traditional you are actually means somehow on the negative side, it's lower effectiveness, I think. So in this part, I think in the future, if you can do some improvements, definitely you will welcome more. You're already the top one, Italy, okay? For the Schengen region destination, Schengen region, for Chinese people, you're already the top one. You surpassed France like 2 years ago, I think.
Any other question? Altre domande?
Sorry, the question was also about capacity or not? Yeah, the capacity to receive all these people. Yeah. Yes. So this is something that we've seen in other cities, receiving too many tourists.
Okay.
And it's about capacity to receive the people. And I can take the example of France, Paris, but if you take the Louvre Museum, where, it's also about technology. If, as an organization, you implement solutions to deliver in advance the tickets, to assign different times for different people, etc., basically at the end of the day, you will just delete the ticketing desk, because everybody will plan in advance and buy the ticket in advance, and there is no more queue, because people will buy the ticket in advance and you will just regulate the flow. So for sure, if tomorrow 100% of the Chinese people have a passport and a visa to Italy and they all come to Florence, there will be some queue, and maybe about capacity there will be an issue. But for sure, the technology should be able to help for that, to anticipate, this flow and to regulate this flow of tourists.
It's very difficult to see you from here, sorry.
Pensate che la lingua inglese sia sufficiente per accogliere questa nuova generazione, o sia ancora molto importante avere accoglienza che parla in cinese? Grazie.
Okay, that's a question actually if we are talking about young generations, because young generations in China now has much better education than their parents' generation. A lot of young generation, they can speak Chinese. But of course, I'm talking about some first-tier cities, the big cities, the young generation, they can speak very well English or even other languages. So there won't be any problem if it's only English services, right? But English is a must. But still, if you go to some Italian small towns, villages, I'm not sure if there are enough English services, even English services, they are missing here. So, but for some third-tier cities, because China is too big, it's like a continent, right? We cannot, and the economy develops very imbalanced way. So, in some third, fourth-tier cities, somehow the young generations cannot speak English very well. And these people, of course, if you have the Chinese language services, it will help them and they will feel safe to go to this destination. They will feel more welcome in this destination. It changes. But you know, travel is about experience. Okay, if everyone speaks Chinese, if I go to this destination, it's not interesting, right? Even you speak all in Italian, it's still an experience during the travel. So language is a value added. It's something that can help Chinese tourists to better experience and feel welcome in your destination. But I don't think it's a must or it will be a trigger that Chinese people will go to this destination because of the language problem.
Maybe Guillaume?
And to add on that, it's interesting because, of course, and for me, I would say it's not enough. And again, technology can help. But I will take our side as Europeans. Today, these Chinese travelers, they are the most spending travelers. And if you look at the macro level in Europe, we as European countries, we are all fighting to attract Roger in our country. Okay, you take the Ministry of Tourism of Italy, the Ministry of Tourism of Spain, Finland, France, etc. We want to attract these people. So it's not only about, of course, the service and managing the local service, but it's the more Chinese-friendly you will be, maybe the more Chinese people you will attract. It's also a business. It's also about competition, attracting them here. And at the end of the day, it's about experience. And if the experience is very positive, and you may know that these people, Chinese work a lot with social network, they will also share the experience online. And if the experience is positive, they will share it, and that will reach other Chinese people who are in China, and maybe will come to the destination because they know that the experience is very positive. So I would be a little bit more, for me, yes, in this ecosystem environment of tourism where, we want to attract these people, I would say it's clearly a must, and then there are many other things, but being Chinese friendly is something that, if you want to attract them, it's a lot better to speak Chinese, at least.
May I add to this? Is there also a technological language which is different within the Chinese ecosystem? I mean, we have made so many efforts in the past years to learn how to interact on Facebook, how to interact on TripAdvisor, how to react to bad reviews, etc., etc. I mean, is there also, besides the pure language problem, there's also a etiquette problem, way of dealing within these social networks, which is important for us to learn?
I think so. And Roger can confirm that. But as we said at the beginning, the behavior is different. The culture is different. So knowing our customer is maybe the first thing we should do. And again, as you mentioned, some attraction, they will recruit some Chinese staff. It's not only to speak Chinese. It's also because this Chinese staff will know the expectation of the travelers. You mentioned about the hotel, the sleepers, the hot water, green tea. That may look very basic for some people, but it can be very important for some other people. So it's yes, the language, yes, the technology, plus the culture and the behavior. That's my feeling, because we don't behave exactly the same way.
Any other
You
question?
confirm?
Oh, sorry.
Buonasera, era per capire, sorry, I better speak Italian, che tipi di turismo o turismi possono attrarre la clientela cinese? È vero che in Italia siamo noti per le città d'arte, ma possiamo parlare di balneare, ma possiamo arrivare anche all'enogastronomico, all'aria aperta. Che propensione c'è del turismo cinese che viene in Italia nell'approcciare questi diversi mercati per loro e di interesse nostro? Grazie.
Okay, so for the Chinese people, it's already not like 10 years or 15 or even 20 years ago. they only go to the most famous monument, or they only go to the most famous place in the world. They are now, especially the young generations, they are willing to explore more local life, local activities in some destinations. They want to experience the local life. That's something changing in China's market, especially for the young generations. They are not willing to go in the bus to see Tour Eiffel Tower, and just take some photos and just go away. They are more willing, for example, they may go to Berlin for the nightclub, for techno music. So this is something new. And Italy, of course, as a historical destinations, you have a lot of attractions. You don't need to mention to discuss about that with the Chinese people. We all know about that. We are willing to go there, of course. If it's the first time travelers, they will go, they will visit. But for young generations, they may also need to explore more local activities, which you may not find in the, I don't know, the book guide, travel guide or something, but from a local people, okay? If you ask me, I live in Shanghai. If a tourist asks me, have you ever been to the tower, the Jingmao Tower, or some touristic place? I say, maybe when I was like 5 years old, and then never. I never go my weekend to these places. So this is different from local activities and touristic places. So for attracting more young generations, you need to educate and to find a way to how to serve them more local experience, except for the traditional attractions, historical ones, food, wine. Those things are already famous for everyone. You don't need to mention that. We will definitely go there. The thing you really attract more young generations or more Chinese tourists will be the local life. At least for me, it is that.
Is that shopping tourism also changing for young
It's also changing because, okay, still we are getting more and more mature in spending monies and in go shopping. And it's more transparent because of the internet. We know that it's not that difficult to get some stuff like 10 years ago. So we are kind of going shopping is a must, I can say still. It's a must, go shopping at the airport or shopping mall outlets. But it won't be, I can say, the weight of during the entire journey will be less than 20%. Before it's maybe 30, 40% weight that I have to go shopping. And I have to next hours, I have to leave 3 hours today to go shopping, something like that.
Yeah, and because we also work a lot on retail and on mobile payment for LVMH brands, etc. And I think it's very similar. We see on the shopping the same thing that for the tourism. People now, before they were going to the famous brands, Bulgari, LV, Gucci, whatever, and now, of course, they are keeping an interest for these brands, but we can see the new designers also attracting the Chinese travelers. Brands that were not known 2 years ago, and before maybe, but Roger, please confirm if I'm wrong. They were all wanted to have the same bag, but now having something that not everybody has is also something new, and they may not share where they bought it because they want to keep being the only one to have this bag. So as for the travel experience, shopping is also, they are going to new niche.
Even shopping, we are not talking about some luxury stuff. Of course, we still go shopping for luxury stuff. But more young generations, as I said, local life shopping experience. It's like go to the markets, okay, to experience, buy some fruits maybe, or buy some antiques. So in some really small markets, in local life, you can experience that. So that's the shopping experience in the travel experience. It's not only for the bags or
Correct.
for the the wallets or something.
Okay, 2 questions.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to ask you something. You were just explaining about the changes in the Chinese market, the young generations, and talking about Italy, we are experiencing that some of the Chinese new trends, the young generations, are looking for niche products. That means especially food, wine. The question is, do you think they agree in learning by doing? And that's the problem of the language is not a very big issue because some of them, they speak English. This is the first question. And the second one is, for these kind of experiences, it's quite demanding to use the social media you are used to in China. So which will be the right channels to use in order to do a bit of marketing of these experiences we can offer in Italy? Thanks a lot.
Okay, so
Maybe we can go, because we are running out of time, maybe we can go for the other question and we
Yeah,
answer
I would
collectively.
like to know if you have any data on repeat travelers and if their behavior is different from first-timers in terms of exploration and destinations.
Okay.
Okay, so the first question about language, because we are talking about niche market, right? So niche market normally has a higher margin. The clients, they pay more to get better experience and different experience. So of course, language will be a very important part during the services. Imagine if they cannot understand how can they experience the different, niche, very special services in wine tasting. If we are talking about how to choose a wine or how to taste a wine, but they don't understand, that will be a very big problem. They don't feel good, right? So language in the niche market, it will be a very important issue for the Chinese tourists. And for promoting those niche markets, still, it's very important to select the target clients, right? So social media, it's a very good channels, but it also depends which social media channel you are using. Okay, we have a lot of, for example, key opinion leaders. Those key opinion leaders has different category for different niche markets. Some people, they are very famous in shopping. Some people, they are very famous for some, I don't know, the marriage tour, the wedding tour, and some people, they are very famous for the wine tasting tour, etc. So how you can find the right account for in the social media to target those followers, the right followers, that's the key question. You cannot do the massive marketing campaign in the massive social media channels. That will be a problem. So with C-Trip, it's the same. When we do the social media campaign, use WeChat Moment, for example, we select our targeting clients using our data. It's the same. With limited budget, you cannot just touch everyone, right? You have to figure out who already, for example, the last question is about the repeating clients. We know who were already been to Europe or Italy or France, Paris, those big cities. You already been there. I will never push again the effort our tickets to these people. It's meaningless, right? So I will push some other, maybe the wine tasting journey in Italy, in Spain, or in some different places, not in France only. So that's how we use the data and choose the right target clients. That's the most important thing. For the repeating travelers, it's more important about how to find them. That's very difficult thing. So only online digital solutions can give you the data about these clients and to track them after they already travel in a certain destinations. So I'm not saying that only C-Trip can do that, but what I can say is if you don't have any digitalized solutions, you can never track these clients and you can never push the right information to them.
Very quick because I see.
No, we are still in Italy, even if we are BTO. So.
No, but for the repeaters, I just want to add something. I spoke about the growth of Chinese travelers coming to abroad and Europe, and this growth being generated by the individual travelers. And more we can see. So the data we have is more with Global Blue, which is working on tax-free shopping. So we know who is buying what, etc. And this population is getting younger. And before there were the groups, and the groups are older, and basically they do one trip. The young people, they will come more often. So what we see is the trend is the repeaters will grow and grow and grow. And exactly as Roger said, once they have seen you know, Rome and Paris, etc. They are looking for something different. And we see in the different countries, and I can take France as an example again, but it's the same in Italy, they will look for, you know, secondary cities, something that not everybody is doing, like for the shopping, etc. And this is a trend. It's going to increase. Okay, so don't only target the main cities, but look at everything which is around, all the niche attraction, the niche shopping, etc. That's going to increase for sure, with the young and repeating generation traveling more and more. You still need your picture with, you know, the Coliseum or something like that.
And be careful, as I said, China is too big and different economy development situation. So maybe the repeaters come from Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, those first cities. It's okay if you want to target those repeaters. But don't forget, we still have a lot of different cities, regions. They still haven't get passports yet, right? So if you want to target those clients, don't forget about them. They still need sightseeing. They still need to take photos, as you said. So
they will come to the Uffizi. They will come
really
to Florence.
different market. You can touch everyone in China.
Very short question, last short question. You talked about the cultural difference, okay, from China to the Western. How far is the distance of the younger generations? I mean, if we think and what we offer now, okay, the distance is so big, so probably we have to thought that different customer journey from Western people to Eastern people. And what about the future generation?
You know them more than I do.
You mean offering the different offers, right? The different products?
How different will be?
So is the difference widening with in the
say it's
future
reducing.
cultural differences?
Reducing, I guess.
I think still with the internet, you know, Earth is flat, right? So today it's everyone, the young generations, they get all the informations. They got inspired by the Western cultures as well in China. So everyone knows about English. They're starting to learn the Western cultures, learn from the movies, the books. So I'm thinking the difference, it's not like 20 or 30 years ago. It's a huge difference. We think only in Chinese way, in Chinese style. But nowadays, a lot of Chinese young generations, they know about the life in Western countries. They even know how to say, I don't know, bisous en français. So they even know these kind of customs in the local destinations, countries. They know how to taste a wine correctly, even maybe better than the local people. So the internet makes us not that much different. And in the coming future, with the development of technology, education, formation, so I don't think there will be the culture-related barriers between us, and the difference will come to, you know, smaller and smaller. But of course, we still have different things. But when we experience in a local destination, we like to experience local lives. There won't be any problem, I think.
Yeah, if you look at the Chinese people studying abroad, they will also try to, you know, of course they may stay with Chinese friends, etc. But if I look, we have more than 40 Chinese people in our company. You know, they are behaving as we are behaving now. They are becoming local, or something. They remain Chinese, but so the difference is for me clearly reducing. I fully agree with you, with internet, with the travel, with, you know, the willingness of, you know, getting closer.
Remember that lowering the barriers and reducing differences doesn't mean erasing identities.
No.
And the Chinese identity is still very strong.
I don't know, also in the enculturation, Chinese enculturation in the Eastern...
Yes.
No?
Thank you.
I think we 6 minutes 27 ahead, after
Late.
the deadline. So thank you for being here with us. I hope it was useful.
Thank you.